gentlemen, it is Friday night, and welcome to the Mile High Podcast. Tonight is our first ever Mile High Podcast stand up special. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is something that we have been talking about since we very first started. Just having some real funny people coming on and starting off the show for us. So we're going to have some wonderful comedians on tonight. And then after the stand up sets, we're going to go straight into our conversation about the most influential comedians of all time. But let's get on with the show. Our first comedian needs very little introduction, mostly because he is everywhere on Truckee Pacific. He's the host of Santore What Now? Or Now What, depending on who you ask. He's been on comedy stages from Orlando to Minnesota and has recently been banned forever coming back to Colorado. Mike Santore, take it away.
My girlfriend called me an alcoholic. I told her that was a fair assessment of me. I really do love my girlfriend, but her husband is a cock blocker. The sport of bullying is racist. White pins with rednecks. I never took any drugs in my whole entire life. That I didn't like. Every time I see a U-Haul truck and I'm with a friend, I would always say, U-Haul, I push. I hate talking to people. That's why I bark at them instead. Just imagine if you asked someone a question and their response was, Do you know what they say about bald head men with glasses and play guitar? I was just asking.
Woo!
Thank
Excellent job. So wonderful job, Mr. Santori.
you.
Thank you so much. So now I'm trying to our next comedian. It comes all the way to us from Alton, Illinois, which I had to find on Google Maps, and it is actually closer to St. Louis than Chicago. So who the fuck knew? I thought she was from Chicago, but she's from Alton, Illinois, close to St. Louis. This self-proclaimed shit poster and lover of kittens will be in Denver on May 14th and 15th because, unlike Santori, she is not banned from coming to Colorado. And she will also be part of the hip hop comedy throwdown at the Spot Sports Bar in St. Louis on May 20th. Welcome to the Mile High Podcast, Nicole Gory. Nicole, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, everybody. So 2020 was a rough year. We had to learn a lot of things, and I started out the year single. And I don't know about you, but dating in the middle of a fucking pandemic, not easy. There had to be rules, you know? He had to work from home, and his grandparents already had to be dead. Those are the rules. Imagine going to suck a dick and killing a Meemaw. Like, he's ghosting you, and so is his grandma. It's not good. It's not a good look. Some things didn't change, though, which I appreciated. You still had those fun little phone calls. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? Hey, baby, you should go get tested. Only this time it's not for chlamydia. If 2 big pills and a reasonable copay can clear up COVID, I think we'd all be a little safer right now. You know? I don't like basketball. I don't. But I fucked a lot of basketball fans. And sometimes you need something to talk about in between all of the blowjobs, you know what I'm saying? So when Kobe died, that hit hard, you know? And I wanted to read everything I could about him. And did you know that Kobe Bryant was named after Kobe beef? Yep. And if you don't know what Kobe beef is, that's that really bougie, the bougie cows, you know, they get craft beer, massages. I think they even got the PS5 for Christmas. Like, these cows are living their best life ever. So, like, I just can't, can you imagine putting something in your mouth and loving it so much that you name your spawn after it? My only regret in life is not naming one of my kids ass. Preferably the ones whose dad doesn't pay child support. Yeah, fuck that dude. So I'm a single mom, and I have a 13-year-old son. Teenage years, they're gearing up to be so much fun. But he's a little too comfortable with telling me like his opinion on stuff. Like, he thinks it's okay to like comment like how much cleavage I'm showing. Like, and I read every one of those stupid what to expect when you're expecting books, but they did not cover what to do when your 13-year-old slut shames you. I'm gonna need them to put that in there right now. But you know, he's 13, and I have to, you know, do the talk with him. So he'd been spending a lot of time in the bathroom, you know. And I'm just like, okay, let's sit down and talk about this. You know, he had his laptop in there, he had candles, and I was like, it's natural. It's completely natural. And he's like, Mom, what are you talking about? It's like, what you're doing in the bathroom, like, that's cool. If you need to talk about it, I'm here. Mom, like, what do you think I'm doing in the bathroom? Like, if you're touched, and he freaked out. He was like, Mom, that's just my me time. I was like, yeah, I know, that's what I'm talking about. Safe to say, he was just watching anime, not hentai, and having, you know, a little bubble bath. So we discovered that my son is going to be a virgin forever, which is fine by me, you know. So I have the worst dating record. I love a project. If a guy has issues, especially drug issues, I'm just like, all I hear is save me, love me, just help me. So I dated a crackhead in 2019. But I justified it though, because he made his own crack. You know, it was organic, free range, and gluten free. The Whole Foods crack, if you will. He cared about what went in his body. I did not. But yeah, I'm dating this great guy now though. He's 10 years younger than me though, so I get to like teach him stuff in the bedroom. You know what I'm talking about, right? He recently had the opportunity to hit his first woman with consent. And you give a 23-year-old white male that kind of power. I have daddy issues. So he's smacking me, and I'm just like, hit me, daddy, bam, bam, bam. Finally, I felt something pop in my jaw, and I had to tell him, I said, smack me, daddy, not hit me like I was a police officer's wife. But that's going well. It's going very well. And so far, his grandparents are still alive. That's all I got, guys.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. So we're like missing half of our crew. Jeff is still having some issues trying to get on. So the man of mystery, who he just might be a mystery for the rest of the night. I don't know. And fuck knows where James is. So it looks like it's just going to be the three of us for right now. So thank you guys so much. When Jeff ever comes on, if he can, we'll throw his set right in the middle there. So that was great stuff, guys. So appreciate it, you guys coming on, and some great sets there. Tonight we're talking about some of the most influential comedians, and I can't really talk about it because I'm not a comedian, but I thought, why not talk about influential comedians with some actual comedians here? So first of all, what I want to do is just because we have a lot of new viewers tonight, I want you guys to talk a little bit about yourself. So Nicole, since you are brand new to the Mile High podcast, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for like seeing some weird dude pop up in your DMs. They're like, yes, I'm totally going to answer that DM. And then like saying, yeah, totally, I'll fucking get stoned and talk about comedy. So thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm, like I said, a single mom to two amazing kids. I am currently going through a midlife crisis. So I'm unemployed, which goes right on with the comedy thing. I kind of lived over the Illinois Midwest area, originally from Chicago, but fell in love with St. Louis. I started doing comedy originally because I'm terrified of public speaking. It scares the shit out of me. And I like shit posting on Facebook, and people are like, maybe you should do it. I was like, I'm going to do it. And I fell in love with it. So yeah, here I am.
Awesome.
Getting high with y'all.
Well, you put something up on shit, I don't even see my camera. You guys probably wonder who's talking to you. There I am. Hi, me. So you put something up on your Facebook today because I've been stalking you since we first met you. About you had a really interesting past, and I thought that'd be cool to share with our listeners. So tell us where you came from, man.
Yeah. So I am a certified orphan. My mom passed away when I was 3, my dad when I was 8, and I grew up in a mix of foster care and boarding schools. If anyone has ever heard of the Moose Lodge, it's in Moose Heart, Illinois, obviously Illinois. And I got tossed around a lot. When I was 18, I got a job system, obviously. I was homeless for a while. My thing is I love talking about crack. I was actually a crackhead. I got addicted to it. And then I got clean and got pregnant with my son, went to nursing school, stayed in shelters. So like I'm a very big fan of talking about, that's why one of the reasons why I started doing comedy. I had to laugh about everything that's happened to me. I can make a joke about almost anything. Like I have a joke about being an orphan and like, searching for my daddy Warbucks while like dealing with my daddy issues. Like I just comedy helps me heal. And I think that's true for most people. And yeah, I've been a lot of places, done a lot of stupid shit. Yeah.
Well, welcome. And, you have a great story, and we love to hear those kind of stories here on Mile High Podcast. Everybody has really cool fucking backgrounds and histories and shit. And we've all done dumb shit. So it's a big community of people who've done dumb shit. Speaking of doing dumb shit, Mike Santore, who are you?
Who am I? Who are you? Well, for those that don't know me, I'm Michael Santore. I'm trying to be a stand-up comedian, or I'm a stand-up comedian. I do a podcast on Wednesday nights for Chuck Pacific called What Now with Santore. I'm currently unemployed due to the whole pandemic that we're going through, and then, like she said, it helps you out work on your material and stuff. So that that's good. I have this moment of creating my craft. So I also am a former alcoholic. I've been sober for a year and a half now, and yes, congratulations to you too. That's great, Nicole. But yeah, I used to do a lot of dumb shit. And sometimes I don't do as much dumb shit as I used to, just because of the fact that I'm sober and I have to like rethink my consequences. So before, when I was drunk, there was no thinking, you just went and there was your consequences. So now that you have a sober brain, you actually think about doing dumb stuff. So I keep my dumb stuff to a minimum nowadays. But other than that, that's pretty much me. Not much to say. I'm still learning the game of life.
How old are you again?
48 in June this month.
If you haven't learned it by 48, man, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, I've met some older people that still haven't figured it out. So, we're all clueless, confused.
I'm 33 and I don't have my
No, I never will. Never will.
Yeah.
No, you're just gonna still keep walking confused and take care of what you need to do, and be good to yourself and be good to others. That's it. That's as simple as it gets. But sometimes that's really hard to do, especially nowadays, and that's unfortunate. So bring on the comedy. Let's make everyone laugh.
If you're not laughing, you're crying, right?
All right. One or the other. I'd rather be laughing.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we love to do here on the Mile High Podcast is we are a pop culture podcast, and we like to give love to our local weed suppliers. In particular, tonight I'm smoking a little bit of the wedding cake from our friend Courtney from Lova Co. Off of, none of these streets mean any fucking thing to you, Nicole or Santore, but they mean something to the three people from Colorado who are watching tonight.
I'm taking notes. I'm gonna be there soon. I'm taking notes, man.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, yeah. When you get here, man, just you have my information, so I will hook you up with the best weed spots, because that's kind of what we do. It's like we have a whole podcast, directed around local weed. So tonight, smoking the wedding cake from Lova, our friend Courtney, who is our local cannabis expert. She runs a lot of these dispensaries in Colorado. So making sure that we support some of these small independent dispensaries. What is the weed situation up in Illinois, Nicole? Like I know Santore, he is smoking illegal weed, which is weird for a liberal state like that.
Right.
But he's smoking clove cigarettes from Minnesota. But what is the weed situation in Illinois? And aren't you doing something with edibles or something?
I am. Okay, so the weed situation, I hate to say this, I still get mine from my weed man. It's quality shit, but like I can't afford dispensary prices right now. I do like the edibles though that they have around, and I discovered how, honestly, I wasn't much of a smoker. Until actually the last year. I also love booze way too much and end up crashing my car and having to get sober into the end of 2019, my crackhead era. So I started smoking to kind of deal with the withdrawals, and it just made me feel 10 times better and helped with my depression. And But the weed here, the laws are, it's so new because it just was legalized. So we're still navigating them. It's going to be a process, just like it's been a process in Colorado, started out slow.
But one thing that we are very lucky about is Colorado set the tone for kind of the rest of the world. Like Colorado is the first state to go full recreational, and us and Oregon, I believe it was, and we rocked it. So a lot of these weed laws and stuff that are being enacted throughout the country are based off of Colorado laws, and it was a lot of trial and error. But I mean, Colorado's pretty much done it right, and it's really cool to see that so much pot proliferation is going through the country. Like it's one of those things that who knew that weed was the thing that was like the great bringer of people together. This country's so divided, except for when it comes to weed. Weed is like oddly bipartisan, and people fucking love it. So Alabama is in letting people starting to bring in weed, and then fucking liberal ass Washington. So this is one of the cool things about weed is it really does bring people together. So tonight, first of all, you didn't give love to your weed. So what kind of weed are you smoking? Is it bag of indeterminate weed, or what is it?
Oh no, I know the strains. It's a peach pie.
Peach pie.
Yes, it's delicious.
Nice. Do you prefer a sativa or an indica?
I'm actually a hybrid girl. I like a little bit of both.
Nice. Gotta have that mellow, gotta have that creative high. What about you, Santore? What are you doing up there in Minnesota?
Minnesota finest, guy from, Samson. Samson hooked me up. He always does. Gotta give him a shout. Samson.
Samson.
Yeah, I don't do that, Mr. Nice Guy stuff. It's always Samson. I go to Samson because he was the original gangster. So, gotta keep it real with Minnesota, Samson.
Minnesota's
I have no
finest
idea what I'm
Detroit.
smoking. I just know I'm smoking something. It gets me high. I'm happy. But if you really want your technical, I do like indica. I like indica. It's more of a. I mean, I don't really get. People get really super tired and they just can't. I mean, I get to a state of I'm just good. I mean, there's been points where I couldn't get off the couch, but that was just my choice. It seemed to be a better place at the time than anything else seemed to be. So, but I have to
I'm a sativa guy because I do a lot of writing and I do this podcasting thing, and it helps me be funny. Because when I am so antisocial. I'm not very creative. I'm very quiet. I don't want to really do anything. So if I do indicas, all I do is fucking sit on my couch and watch shit on TV and snack a lot. And for me, I don't need to snack any more than I already do. So no indicas for me. It gives me, I don't want to be sleepy. I want to be creative, and that's more fun.
Do you want to see one of my cookies?
I want to see your cookies.
Okay, I'm gonna show you. Also, I just have to know, have you ever met an edible hookup with that kind of advertising?
That's
It's
excellent.
such a mom thing.
Man, you could totally fucking just go to the local bake sale and just put a bunch of those cookies out there, and all the cool moms, you're come over here. Come on, I got some special cookies for you over here.
I'm actually going to be vending them at Fish. I don't know if you listen to Fish. I don't, but my friend, I love her to death, and she does. And she's having a whole festival.
Interesting.
You don't even need to listen to Fish. You know that they're going to enjoy. Oh, look at this.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
I infused the dough, and it has infused, what is it? Chocolate covered coffee beans from Kansas City, Missouri at this local roastery, and infused caramel.
That's
lots of infusion
awesome.
going on.
That looks really good. You enjoy that.
And they're delicious.
Well, feel free to eat those cookies. We'll live vicariously through you. So just shove them in your mouth, and we'll enjoy from afar. Yeah, I've totally lost my train of thought. Your cookies were so amazing that I just totally got knocked off my train of thought here. All right, so we're here talking influential comedians, and you guys obviously are in the comedy game because somebody inspired you to be in it. So that's kind of what we're rapping about tonight. Maybe James will be on, maybe he won't. I don't know. It'll be one of those exciting cliffhangers at the end. Will he be on? James is coming on. Holy shit. So my first question, I'm gonna go to you, Nicole. So who are the comics or comedians that inspired you to be a comic? Like, why are you a comedian?
So even though it might not sometimes get you booked, but I love blue comedy. I love raunchy comedy, but cleverly done, like, kind of comedy. And I love when people are authentic and honest. So, like Lenny Bruce is one of my favorite, just because of that time. Like if you haven't seen the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel either, like the guy who plays Lenny Bruce in that does it like so well. It's ridiculous how his mannerisms and everything he did so well with. Sam Kinison, just love the fuck out of that dude. And I'm sad still. Yeah, so and female comics, like obviously Sarah Silverman, Wanda Sykes, and also not stand-up, but I love Amanda Bynes was actually this is something that a lot of people don't know. Amanda Bynes was like gonna be like at a Lucille Ball level if she didn't get fucked up on drugs and alcohol, swear to God. Like that physical comedy and the ability to make people laugh with her body and things like that she did in her movies.
Wasn't Lucille Ball fucked up on drugs and alcohol herself? So
Pretty
I think that'd be like more playing the part.
She worked like she was functioning though.
Oh.
Like went on to like do things like Amanda Bynes just like hit that point and then she was like, yeah, which sucks because like I think she was a super talented actress and made people laugh and she had that same quality about her.
One thing that I didn't realize until I was more mature in my years was how much of comedy is driven by drugs and alcohol. You look back at all these great comedians, man, and they are fueled by drugs and alcohol. But when you're watching them when you're younger, they're just like, man, these guys are just funny. But how many of those comedy routines are sponsored by cocaine? That's comedy routine.
Way too many.
Sponsored by Hennessy alcohol.
On cocaine.
Some of the fastest sets I've ever seen. Sponsored by cocaine. How about you, Santore? Who are your fucking comedic influences?
Sam Kinison, I mean, I'm glad she brought him up. He is so underrated and it's sad. He was really funny and he died way too soon. We lost him way too soon, man. That sucked, man. But he's very funny. But yeah, Carlin, Pryor, Murphy, early Murphy, Bill Hicks is underrated. I think Bill Hicks was an amazing comedian himself before he passed away too. He went too soon as Farley and all that. But for me, it's always been Pryor and Carlin, the two main guys. I mean, I was growing up in the '80s as a child, and sneaking in there on my dad's office and watching cable or live stuff in his office and watching Pryor on Such a Strip. That was great. Eddie Murphy, Delirious. A lot of people say Raw, but Delirious was the first tape I ever cassette tape of Eddie Murphy live, and I would hear that over the summertime. And it's just his whole routine was just funny. I mean, like Aunt Bunny, like Goony Boo Boo. I mean, that stuff was great. But yeah, pretty much like Carlin, Murphy, Bill Hicks, Pryor. My mom got me involved with a Red Skeleton. He's underrated, but he was really, really funny, and he had a bad background. And was one of those people like Nicole. You can always make your life better. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can always make that path better. There are two roads you can go on, but you can change the path to the road that you're on. So that's good to see. But yeah, Red Skeleton, people don't know about him. Look him up. He was very, very funny man. But yeah, Carlin mainly. Just whatever. Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman was a genius. We lost him too soon too. It just sucks. Like majority of the most funny people that you see, they're gone now. And it's really sad what happened to Bill Cosby. I mean, that sucks. Because once again, he was an influence in my life. Bill Cosby himself, that whole stand-up was funny, but it just sucks his outcome. But yeah, Carlin, I'm going to go with Carlin overall. Yeah.
So Nicole, who turned you on to comedy? Like, because you definitely didn't have like that family. I'm trying to beat around the bush here because you grew up in the orphanage, so like who turns you on to comedy?
I mean, like a particular comic or
No,
like
like
how I
because like my parents, they were like they were getting me in front of George Carlin when I was a kid, and I've always loved comedians. And Santori, his mom got him into comedy, like watching comedians. But you're traveling a different path, so I'm sure there's somebody who's like, hey, this is stand up comedy, this is funny, you should check this out. And you're like, was there somebody who was that kind of influence in your life?
honestly probably my ex actually like
The
we
crackhead?
no, sorry,
Oh,
no.
different ex. Okay.
An ex. We're still actually best friends. We were engaged. I'm going to be the best man in his wedding that's coming up, actually. I mean, I decided I'm going to be the best man mainly because I get to plan the bachelor party, and that's cool. I like to plan shit. But yeah, like we had some DVDs of actually Sam Kinison, and he's the one that I got like. I was like, oh wow, like this shit is really good. And he also like he already said that like he's like I think you're funny, I think you can do this. And he was one of the people, like we had since broken up but we stayed roommates in that weird little situation. So like he was one of the people that was like, hey, you can do this. And he came to me with my first open mic. Yeah.
Awesome. So welcome to the show, James. Your hair looks
Hello,
luxurious
Dave.
tonight.
Yeah, you know me. I gotta
Get a haircut.
No, it's just combed, guys. It's just combed. I rinsed it off before I came out here because it was in my crazy afro looking going forward. So,
James, this is Nicole. Nicole
hi,
James.
Nicole. Thank you for coming on our show. We literally do the show from my house, and I'm late to that. So who the hell knows how that works out? I like your guys' comedians list. I did want to jump in on it. I am not a stand-up comedian, but I played one on a boat before. I would say that comic influences. Andy Kaufman is huge. His style. I really love. Kind of that gonzo comedy, like that. Somebody who's willing to push an envelope, and it doesn't have to be offensive. Andy Kaufman didn't necessarily need to be offensive. He just took things that didn't seem funny on paper and showed them out to be funny. I would say that Mel Brooks is not a stand-up comedian, but by God is one of the funniest people out there. I think Dave Chappelle is the funniest working comedian. Kevin Hart is fine, but nothing goes on Dave Chappelle. And Killing Me Softly from DC is the single funniest stand-up show that I've ever seen in my entire life. To this day, it's one of the few stand-ups that I can watch repeatedly. And the only other person I would say that is Don Rickles. I think there's this. I think Don Rickles. If you look at his appearance on the old Tonight Show, he did this thing one time as like, have you ever undressed in front of a dog? I mean, he is just brilliant. So I was listening to you guys talk, and I was like, oh, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that. I didn't want to jump in, but yeah, no, like comedic influences, those would be the ones that that created my narration of how I see and how I view comedy. I mean, I used to do a online cartoon, and the non sequiturs everybody's gonna look at, and they're gonna be like, oh, that's Family Guy, but it's not Family Guy. It's Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks taught me comedy better than anyone else. So yeah, that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
Dave, you're doing so good hosting. I know I have the list, but I'm going to let you host. I'm just going to answer questions. I'm just going to be.
You were purposely late, so you didn't have to host, didn't you?
That's my whole plan. And plus, I need my hair looking good because
I don't know. I kind of
the last couple times been a little much. So I went for 90s Hanson with short hair.
I don't know, man. You kind of look like so Don Rickles is amazing, and the fact that it was all improvised. Like he didn't write anything down. He just would get up and just start riffing. Like the reason I got into Don Rickles was because of the Ronald Reagan inaugural ball, and he just got up there and just started ripping on everybody in the room, and it was just like so fast, and like all of it was just off the top of his head. But my parents were super into comedy when I was growing up, so I watched a lot of George Carlin specials, and a lot of my parents like had me watch Eddie Murphy Raw when I was like 10. So that's pretty much. And so Nicole, my parents super cool, super fucking liberal. They love everything that we do, but like they bought me NWA as my first rap CD when I was like 11, 12 years old. They like, here's Eddie Murphy Raw at 10 years old. My mom introduced me to Stephen King at 9 years old. So I grew up very fast in that house.
Honestly, I think me and your mom would get along because that's kind of like my son. I took him to a punk show for Bernie when he was 9. And he would ask them, they're like, do you know who Eazy-E is? And he'd start rapping Boys with Us.
That's funny.
And like, it's just like, I'm sorry. They were like, oh, we love him. And they gave him a vegan cupcake.
That's awesome. Yeah, I try to do the same thing with my kid. Like, I'm introducing to all sorts of different bands now. So he's 13 years old. He's wearing his first Slipknot shirt. He's like, I don't even know who the band is. Like, kid, let me tell you who Slipknot is. Here, let's pop this in. By the way, my mom has just invited you into our family. So you are officially part of my family. So we're like, you're like cousin plus. Or like, maybe like my sister.
But I found a mom.
There are a lot of Hawkins families on the Truckee Pacific shows. You will soon find out. Both both welcomed in and both just related to Dave. Sometimes the Malai podcast is just a Hawkins family reunion, and like we like stick one other person in there, so it's like 7 people from Dave's family and like Melody or me or it's fun.
It is fun. That's why I have a talented family, so I'll just bring them on, and it's my company too, so it's like whatever, bring them on.
I know I said I was going to let you host, but now I'm going to take over on a couple things. I want to ask some questions. Current comedians, I have to know a few things from all of you guys. So I'm just going to go around and you tell me your initial quick thought of them. Let's go with, because Cat Williams. What do you guys think of Cat Williams? Do you guys like Cat Williams? I'm going to start the way I see it. Dave, you go first.
Not really. I think he's kind of annoying.
Nicole.
Overrated.
Okay. Santore. And absolutely the exact thing I feel about Cat Williams. Thank you. Everybody's like, oh, he's so funny. I'm like, is he though? Is he really that funny? Garfunkel and Oates. What do you think of them?
Well, I haven't really watched any of their stuff. So
Nicole, you know anything about them?
No. Not very
Santore? All right, there. It's the girl who is the voice for Webby. I wish I remember both their names, but they used to be a comedy duo. What about Kevin Hart?
I like Kevin Hart.
Okay. Yeah, he's pretty funny.
He's fun.
Who's the best working comedian today in your book?
John Mulaney.
What do you two think of John Mulaney? I have a very interesting opinion about John Mulaney. So Nicole, you go first. What do you think of John Mulaney?
I like John Mulaney. I think he's really funny. I don't know about the best working comedian right now.
Well, who do you think? Who do you think is?
I can't even make up my mind. Like, that's too many choices. I don't know.
That is definitely fair. Santore, what do you think of John Mulaney?
I don't know who he is.
All right, that answers a lot of it. And who's the best working comedian at this moment?
For my opinion, or like
your opinion.
At this moment, like right now, today.
Like, they don't have to be telling jokes right now, but like, yes, they're an active comedian.
Well, I'm going to have to say the most active comedian I know working right now that's really funny is Preacher Lawson.
There you go.
Preacher Lawson.
Very cool.
That's
I don't find John
Mulaney
Mulaney
kind of
funny.
answer. That's very out there.
I don't find John Mulaney.
He's kidding.
You don't find John Mulaney funny? Are you serious, man?
I don't even know who that is.
Oh
I find here's what I say about John Mulaney. I think John Mulaney's sketch. I think John Mulaney in a 5-minute set, a 5 to 7 minute set, is on point. I can handle John Mulaney for a 5 to 7 minute set, but an hour special when he hosts Saturday Night Live, the John Mulaney of the whole thing gets a little wearing on me after a while. Is how I would say.
Have you seen his actual stand-up show?
I have.
All right.
I don't think it makes it better. I think. Listen, there are people I appreciate, and I appreciate. There's sometimes he makes me laugh a lot. I like Bill Maher. I don't like his stand-up generally, but I've been watching him for 20 years, so it's one of those things that somebody was like, "I got you tickets to Bill Maher's stand-up show," and I'm like, "Oh, yay!" I mean, and I have to tell you guys, and Santore knows this because I used to take him to the comedy club all the time. I am the worst audience member at a stand-up club.
Oh, we don't like you guys.
Yeah, I'm the guy who you look at and you're like, why isn't that guy laughing? Why isn't he, why isn't he doing anything? And it's because I write comedy and I have comedy incorporated so much of my time. Me not laughing does not mean I don't think it's funny, but there are times where I go in my head, I'm like, oh, that was very funny. I'm the most annoying person in the audience for a comedy show. If you get me to laugh out loud and like really just crack up, you've done something amazing. And I feel really bad, and I'm self-conscious about it over the years. I'm like, that's why I don't even like going to comedy shows, because people are like, are you just trying not to laugh? And I'm like, no, but I appreciate comedy. So to me, it's like art. It's like watching art. And if it's funny, it doesn't actually have to come to me through an audible laugh. Sometimes I can go, oh shit, that's funny. If you get an audible laugh from me, it was funny and you surprised me. You know what I mean? You caught me off guard. I didn't see it coming. Because a lot of times I see jokes. Yeah. That's, if you get an audible laugh from me, that's what happened.
I'm just the opposite, man. You don't have to be very funny at all, and I'll be fucking rolling. Usually because I'm stoned when I go to comedy shows, and I fucking love going to comedy shows almost as much as I love going to heavy metal shows. So I get to see all sorts of cool comedians, and they're just, I love laughing. So I'm the easiest person in the room to have in your audience. So if James and I are together, then we're going to balance each other out. So
yeah.
So Nicole, you said that you couldn't pick just like one comedian today that you think is the best. Name a few of the ones you really enjoy.
I honestly really like a female like Tiffany Haddish. I actually really, really like her. I think she's fucking hilarious. Sarah Silverman. I love Sarah Silverman. I will admit something, and I'm gonna admit it publicly. I don't like her anymore, but one of the reasons why I started watching a lot of more comedy was Amy Schumer. Don't hit me.
She was hilarious. She was really funny.
At first, yeah.
Yeah,
but
it was like
bad rap.
Yeah, she was hilarious up until she did her show, and her show was brilliant. And then after her show, I think she kind of fell apart. But
yeah.
Have you listened to Fortune Feimster at all? She's one of the best comedians. Oh man, she's.
Oh wait, Fortune, yes, yes, the gay Southern one. I love when she talks about her fucking family. Oh my god, when she talks about she cracks.
And she has the best Instagram too. So if you follow her Instagram, she does these like little. Every time she has ice cream, she like does a little ice cream dance. So it's great.
I actually don't have an Instagram. I'm very kind of bad at social media.
Well, you can follow her on Facebook. I know you're one of the old people now that only has the Facebook.
I feel like that.
You don't have the Discord server, or is that what you're saying?
I don't even know what Discord is.
I don't know either. My kid's on it all the time, but I have no idea what the fuck it is. He could, be on the dark web.
I know it's like a messaging thing, because that's like my son is dating a preacher's granddaughter right now. So like they can only talk for like a half an hour at a time from certain hours. And they do it on there.
Interesting.
So James, what are some of the comedians that you're digging on right now?
So I like Ali Wong. I think she's pretty funny.
She was great in Always Be My Maybe. If you haven't seen that on Netflix, it's fucking great.
That was a great movie.
I think
has a lot of good original comedies.
Yeah, Netflix does do pretty good with original comedies. I think that I don't know. I'm having a resurgence of appreciation for Pete Davidson for some reason and no reason at the same time. Like, he really annoyed me for a very long time. But, like, after the last year, I'm like, I see the value in you. You know what I mean? He's I really just a hand. My comedy comes more in structured, scripted form in film and television. Really, I think well-written comedies are hard. I think Seth Meyers is probably the funniest of the late night hosts, followed by James Corden, and neither of them get the attention that other people should. I think Seth Meyers is another one who I didn't think was so funny, and I've grown an appreciation for him over the past years. He does weird non sequiturs in his own thing. So I don't like Jimmy Fallon. One of my favorite lines in The Simpsons ever was, "Kids, what are you laughing at? And don't say Jimmy Fallon or I'll know you're lying." And I'm like, yes. So, yeah, I think I will say that like Netflix has given stand-up comedy a revival in a way that I don't think we would have gotten without streaming services. I think stand-up comedy, as far as like, it wasn't transitioning as well to DVD. It did fine in VHS. It did not transition as well as to DVD. HBO really stopped doing comedy as much as they used to. And I think Netflix has given it a resurgence, and I think we're getting a lot of comics out of it. Yeah.
And I discovered comics that I like didn't know at all, and like found love. Like, Beth Stelling. Like, she's fucking hilarious. And I saw her on one of those their comedy. I can't remember what it's called right now, but there was a bunch of them that I was like, I gotta look these people up because I had never heard of them before.
Right. Yeah, Netflix took what Comedy Central used to do late at night, and they really brought you into a comedy club, which is cool. I grew up where at midnight they would play on Saturday night after Saturday Night Live. They would do this. They would do a comedy set. They would be in an actual club and have up and coming comedians, and you had some great ones on there. I think it's the first place I ever saw Mitch Hedberg, who is. I realized that none of us discussed. Maybe I missed it earlier.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, but Mitch is another one of those people who really we lost too soon and was super hilarious.
I'm gonna stop in here real quick. Got a lot of people commenting tonight. Our friend Dustin, what's up, dude? He's digging on some Jerry Seinfeld and Jeff Dunham. Our buddy Robert. He's liking Dave Chappelle, a lot of Dennis Leary, a lot of Dave Chappelle. My mom likes Tiffany Haddish and Aquafina. Yeah, so a lot of love for Dave Chappelle in the commenters.
Dave Chappelle is, I'm just showing my kids the Chappelle show, and you would think, oh man, it's been about a decade. These are not going to play well in 2021, but they do. They carry over really, really well. He's been smart his entire career. And I kid you not, the best, hands down, recorded stand-up, better than Eddie Murphy, raw, better than Dave Chappelle, Killing Me Softly out of DC is by far, I think, the funniest stand-up I have ever seen. I almost just start laughing as soon as I put it on. I know all the jokes. I know how he hits them on all the jokes. And it literally makes me audibly laugh out loud.
And he's a different comedian now than before he went on his trip to Africa. One thing I want to point in here, Eddie Murphy was asked about the story with Charlie Murphy on the Chappelle show, and Eddie Murphy confirmed everything that his brother said. So all that shit about Prince being in platforms and beating him at basketball and stuff, all confirmed true.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Norm Macdonald, does anybody like Norm Macdonald?
He's pretty funny. I like that deadpan kind of humor. He's pretty funny.
You know what? I like Norm Macdonald. I went back and watched Old Weekend Update, and it's really harsh. Like, there are certain things that from the 90s that get pulled out that I look at that I'm like, I used to love Norm Macdonald on Weekend Update. Why did they fire him? And then I looked at it and I'm like,
yeah, that's why.
Oh, this is all of this is bad in so many different ways, and bad and not funny. That was the other part of it. It was like, but Norm Macdonald himself, I agree. The deadpan humor, he's probably the best deadpan humorist I think out there at the moment. When Norm Macdonald gets up, you got to buckle yourself in because you're going somewhere and you have no idea what it is. He kind of has that Kaufman-esque thing where he's like, I'm just going to do what I think is funny and hope that it works for everybody else.
Okay, what do you guys think of Bo Burnham?
I think he's funny. I think he's pretty funny.
I love musical comedy. I am a sucker for musical comedy. So like I just love his whole vibe. Like he's just
Oh wait a minute, Bo Burnham. I was thinking of Jeff Dunham. My response of this was
Two very
I don't
different.
really
Two
like
very
Jeff
different.
Dunham.
I
do
don't
not.
either.
No,
Yeah.
no, but Bro Burnham and Dimitri Martin are very similar to where like they pull out the guitar, and I see a lot of their act in Santori in your delivery. I see a lot of their Santori. Look at the camera. We want to see your face. We don't want to see the side of your head.
Are you rolling a joint?
So
wanna show
like I
you
see a lot
that.
of that.
Are you
know,
playing Scrabble?
the guitar. I think he's.
What are you
playing
looking
Jenga
at,
or something.
Santori? Are you rolling a joint? Are you playing Scrabble?
No, I'm just looking at the floor and my shoes. Just looking.
The show is over here, right? It's not over the.
Yeah, I know. No, it's all good. I just don't
That's
want
a
to show
Joby
that.
Gillis
I hate
profile.
showing my deer face.
I brought
Yeah,
Joby Gillis back.
That's right.
All right.
What now? What's going on?
Joby Gillis.
Yeah. What about him?
Nothing.
Thinking of mine.
No.
What?
All right, Dave, ask a good question because I took us on a horrible tangent. This is what happens when I don't host and I'm not prepared mentally.
Well, don't worry. I have been well prepared, sir. For
I
any
know you
scenario, as in like 2 of our 5 people not showing up until like later, and one of them not showing up at all.
We're
I'm,
like
I'm ready
the
for
odd
all
couple.
situations here.
We're the odd couple. I'm the Walter Matthau.
That's very much a.
Is
a
that
way to
true?
put
Is
it.
he the right one? Yeah.
So how have you guys seen comedy change since you have started doing your thing, and like how has the pandemic changed the comedy game?
Can I go?
Yeah, go first, Nicole.
Oh, you can go.
No. Go ahead. You're good.
Go ahead. It's okay.
I was just gonna say how's comedy changed over the past 5-10 years. I mean, now it's just like comedy back when I was growing up. It was like there was no one was offended by anything. Like there was some shit being said in the past like that you cannot get away with today because you would probably offend somebody and it sucks. So I think that comedy has changed over the years where comedians now, I've heard Seinfeld won't even perform at colleges because he knows that someone's going to complain about something he might have said that hurts someone's feelings. Stupid. So that's how comedy's changed for me. Is like I think everyone's gotten too soft and got very offensive for no reason and it's stupid. So that's all I can say about that.
I've heard that from comics. Old crafty comics like you, Santore. I've heard that a few different times. What about you, Nicole? What do you think? What do you think? How has the pandemic treated you, and what do you think about what Santore just said?
Well, so first, I started like right before everything shut down again. Like I did it 5 years ago, and then I bombed one night and stopped, and then I started up right when everything shut down. So I think the worst time to do it. But the thing that was really cool that I've noticed that came about is a lot of independent comedy producers and people wanting to put on shows. And like I was one of those people. Like I'm a nurse too, and I was working with COVID patients, but we got tested every week. So I was like, I'm getting tested every week. I'm gonna put on a mask and I'm gonna go out and like try to do this. And everyone was really safe about it too and respectful. People just wanted to laugh after so many months,
Right.
Kind of things. Because I remember everything opened up, it's still hard. Like, but it made it easier for the comics starting up to get more stage time because a lot of the in the St. Louis comedy scene, it was kind of the older comics that have been around for a long time, they stopped going out in general. And they're just now starting to do more mics and shows. So yeah, it's given people the opportunity to produce. Like I actually started producing my own shows and it's been really fun. I realized I love that side of comedy too. And just like bringing like a great event about. But about what Mike said, I mean, I think that maybe, yes, people are easily offended right now, but I also think if it's a joke, I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna say this. I'm a little stoned right now. So if it's a good enough joke, it's gonna go over well. And if it's just not funny and just racist or just piece of shit, in some ways we are too sensitive. Like I don't want to hear somebody go on stage and like preach to me for a half an hour about like rights, because like I am like pro-trans, pro-gay, like everything. Like, but like just you have to make it funny. And the same thing for the older comedy. Like I do like raunchy comedy. Like I still like I was watching Can't Hardly Wait the other night and I was laughing at it and I was just like, man, this did not hold up. Like I was like this time, but it was still fucking funny for that time. You also have to remember in that time period things were fucking different.
Right. Rules were different.
Do you think comedians get a pass a little bit
Appreciate
more?
for what it is.
I don't think comedians. I'll pass up, but I don't think comedians get a pass anymore. I think comedians get. I think what Nicole said was exactly on point. If the joke is strong enough, the joke passes, but you got to be strong enough. The thing that it used to be, and this is what used to bother me about stand-up comedy, and no offense, but like Bonkers, particularly in Central Florida, Santore, where we would go, you would get those comedians that picked the very lowest hanging fruits of these sensitive subject jokes. They weren't funny then, but dumb people laughed at them. They've become less funny through the years that have gone by. But if you listen, Blazing Saddles is hilarious. Blazing Saddles is still hilarious today. I just watched it. Super offensive, but every single joke in that movie lands. Good jokes get the pass. And unfortunately, sometimes it goes down to your level of fame, I think so too. I think to a level. Because if you're too famous, people will want to take you down. So they'll become more offended. Or you could be too famous and they could give you a pass. Dave Chappelle gets a pass a lot. Like his first Netflix stand-up. I don't remember when he started doing stand-up again for Netflix. When his first one, some of the things he said about transgenders, there were a lot of things that were tough, and not every one of those jokes landed. Now, every stand-up since then has rolled out a little better and everything, but I don't think these jokes landed in 1990. I think we were just, more accepting of it. We're like, well, we've used up all the comedy. These are the only jokes we have. And I think people right now are proving that there's a deeper tone of jokes. I like I said, I made an online cartoon in the late 90s, early 2000s that I watched the other day that my kids and my family have seen 1,000 different times. And we all went, ooh, it's funny. That's still funny, but ooh, And I think if somebody really enjoyed it, I'd have to explain it. Well, I don't think this. It's a stereotype, which I played up on,
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit. And I grab from the low-hanging fruit sometimes in my comedy, and that's the part I don't like seeing 20 years later. You're like, ooh, that was super easy. It's the James Gunn thing. James Gunn made a horrible joke, low-hanging fruit. He got a lot of trouble for it, and, So.
No, that's true. And like I feel like for me, I I love raunchy comedy and things like that, but they're also like if it's just offensive. Like I love things like I love abortion jokes, I fucking do, but they have to be clever,
Right.
like I just don't want like, yo, I got like 5 abortions. like you gotta be like yeah. And I learned that from experience. Like I once took a mic at it was a counter rally for like a pro-choice rally for a counter like for the pro-life.
Right.
And I took that mic and I was trying to be like supportive. This is before I even started doing stand-up. And I was like, but like, and all like I was literally like this. So like I have 2 kids or I have a kid at the time. And I was like, I love them and stuff, and I'm glad I had them, but I'm glad it was my choice. But I was like, I mean, they could have been medical waste, and everyone stops. And
It's a know your audience play of that.
No one wanted to like they were just like, no, like we're not doing this today, man. And I felt so ashamed, and I walked away. I was like, it was not that funny. I just didn't know what to say at the time. I was. Just,
and you can tell when it just landed. You know what I mean? If you would have got a chuckle, you're like, I could work with a chuckle, but it's starting to fire and with Tinder, and you're like, oh, I got no spark here. I'm not dealing with any spark on this one. That sucks. That's yeah.
But you put yourself out there. There's a lot to be said for doing that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Being outgoing, being the kind of person that's not afraid to walk up to in a large group of people and say something unscripted. Sometimes that's what happens. You know what I mean? You're like, damn, that you don't understand. As I was going in my head, it sounded much funnier than that came out. You know what I mean? And
Oh yeah.
Are you a fan of?
right. I see the problem with what I just said there. Why didn't I figure that out 7 seconds ago? You know.
Are you a fan of Anthony Jeselnik's comedy? Then, if you like that, like pretty offensive but not like overtly offensive humor.
I have never really I never heard that person actually.
He and John Mulaney are the two funniest comics I've ever seen. But if you have not seen Anthony Jeselnik stuff, he's offensive but fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And he's offensive. And if you like that kind of thing, but you go in, I think that's one thing about comedians is like Anthony Jeselnik is offensive. God, so I can't remember. Sarah Silverman is going to tell some off-color jokes. You know, going into those shows that's going to happen. So you are prepared for that kind of stuff. But when it gets out of that little pod of people, that's when people start to get in trouble.
Yeah.
True. But I would argue I like that first Dave Chappelle, and it was specifically trans. I don't remember exactly what it was, but some of his transgender jokes on that first one with race and rape on the first of his comeback specials. I knew what I was getting myself into, and I'm telling you, he would have made that joke in the 1990s. It would have killed, and I would have laughed at it. It was a joke that was good enough for then. And it's not necessarily good enough for now because it's not. It's finding that space that you can do it in, and there's a lot of different avenues that I think Dave Chappelle can speak on. Transgender issues are not one of them. You know what I mean? So but you're right. It's the spreading out. It's the fact that we know every comics jokes because we can get it at any time on our phones and everything. These are not playing for the audience. You do play for different audiences. When Santore and I were skippers, you knew who got on your boat. You knew in the first two jokes that you told them, do I have to follow the spiel or can I go completely and do my own thing and make these people laugh?
It's so weird to me. Sorry.
No, sometimes I ramble, so feel free. Dave knows this. Feel free to cut me off.
It's so weird how, like, in the last, technology has changed comedy, and I will say, I don't know if have you guys ever seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Have you watched that show on Prime?
I watched a few episodes.
It's our first episode.
My wife loves it.
It is the most, honestly, it was that girl power shit. I was just yes, look at this bitch go. But the actress that plays it so well, and they but seeing how comedy was done back then, because it's a period comedy, so it's clubs where hardly anyone knew. These people didn't know that her husband was taking somebody else's jokes because they didn't have, unless you were in that city, in that in that place, they didn't have a way, and they just started recording comedy and stuff like that, and people were getting the records, and then that's how you slowly. And so to me, it's cool watching that, and then how far we've come with technology and stuff, and how comedy is so easily accessible.
Well, and comedy seems to. What do you guys think of TikTok? Because how comedy changes. My wife watches TikTok. She loves TikTok. But they have some people who do characters on there and everything. It is definitely a form to relate comedy for another generation of comedians. That doesn't mean that I think I don't want to see Martin Short doing your TikTok. You know what I mean? But people who grew up on the TikTok, I think they can make some pretty funny content. So.
I think what's changed comedy more than anything is YouTube. Because you have comedians putting shit up there, and then you have kids like Danny Gonzalez. My kid loves fucking Danny Gonzalez, and his shit's really funny. And he's just a guy who was a comedian, and he put a platform on YouTube, and now has millions of subscribers, and people love it. So you can grow your base through YouTube. You don't necessarily need to do the stand-up gig. You don't necessarily need to do records and albums and specials and shit. You can just get up on YouTube and get your shit out that way. And you can probably grow your audience faster through YouTube than through anything else.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you would think, I think it's different kinds of fame still. There are YouTube famous people that I don't know their names. You know what I mean? Like Logan Paul. Logan Paul, I guess, is somebody who's about to fight a boxer. He's a famous YouTube thing. I think the one thing about YouTube comedians is that my kids watch different YouTube comedians and I can't name them. And that maybe that's because of the conventional way that I've intaked. Even the TikTok people that my wife shows me all the time. I don't know. I could not tell you who you should go to see a reference of what I'm doing now. But I can quote comedians from the 90s, from today, from that still go that conventional way of television, bar, stand-up, that whole nine.
Yeah. It's traditional comedy. It'll never go away. It'll just adapt. But you're going to have different levels. And as technology changes, you're going to have different kinds of outlets to be creative. And the most successful ones are the ones that can like really adapt to all the different platforms that are available to them. Your hair still looks beautiful, James. I love how you're doing the Prince Charming flow.
Yeah, it keeps coming out. That's what happens. Is because
it's slowly watching it dry and get like poofier as it dries.
Right.
Like a chia
for 2 hours, it would be out, man.
He has the most amazing fro, Nicole. You have no idea. If you stick around long enough, you'll see how amazing his fro really is.
We'll do a time lapse of this episode specifically from when I come in with slicked back short hair to where it is right now. So,
all right. Well, I think we're kind of wrapping up here. I'm going to go around the horn, and I want you to give me one or two comedians that we haven't talked about yet, and that you think is really funny that we haven't talked about. So, James.
Damn it! I was afraid you were going to start with me. I blew my comedian load already. I wasn't prepared for anyone else. Who haven't you talked about yet? Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing. I'm totally not prepared for that. I gave you all my best comedians.
There's so many comedians out there that we didn't touch on. What about you, Santore?
I would have to say Stephen Wright and Cheech and Chong.
Oh, man. Coming out strong, Santore. Made up for James's lack of any answer whatsoever.
Ricky Gervais.
There you go.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais is good. There's somebody.
How about you, Nicole?
See, it's not easy, Dave. Not even prepared.
This is why we have the test at the end of the show. We want to see how stoned you got over the course of this show. And then we end it with a test.
I did get a little stoned. I'm trying to think. No, I am trying to think right now.
I have another one just to help out.
Yeah.
Who's the other one?
Not working.
Gilda Radner.
There you go. Gilda Radner, Steve
Bob,
Martin.
What do you think of Bob Saget?
I think Bob Saget's very funny.
I think he's real funny. And I didn't realize that he was pretty dirty. I didn't realize that because I watched him. I grew up with Full House, like pretty much everybody grew up in the 80s. And then it's like, oh, this.
When I saw his stand up, I was just like, holy shit, it's just such a character shift. And like, it was really cool to see.
I don't know if I was Bob Saget, if I would recommend at least to Santore's point to a bit. I don't know if I was Bob Saget, if I would recommend going out and doing stand up just right now. Because of, just because he's going to be funny, but Bob Saget is one of those people that will just, oh man, you were this close. You did 12 minutes. How'd you do 12 minutes and not say that really bad joke that you knew? You guys all have like that joke in the back.
Oh yeah.
Does it change? Does the audience reaction change dictate where you're going to go? Like, you're like, okay, I'm flowing like this. I'm flowing like this. I'm flowing like this. And they're going here and you're like, I've been holding on to this joke.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the audience to play it for.
Yeah.
Nice. See, I get the mind of a stand-up comedian. I'm just super lazy. I would be as prepared for stand-up comedy as I am for these shows. Absolutely not at all.
You'd be a very Andy Kaufman-esque type of comedian. You just get on there and you're just like stand there like I don't know. That's my time, everybody. Thank you.
Right. I need to know what kind of audience I was playing for. Like I could have just do a bar. You need to send me to a specific group. Like church camp. I know what I'm going to play for at a church camp audience or Alcoholics Anonymous. Tell just a group. A clan meeting. I know what kind of jokes to tell and things like that. Just give me a group of people that all have similar thoughts, and I can do it. I can wing it. But you give me a broad audience of people.
Yeah, you don't know. You really, yeah.
Right.
All right, we got a bunch of folks commenting. They're coming in fast and furious now. Comedians that we haven't talked about. Kevin Nealon. My mom was saying Kevin Nealon. We have Dan Aykroyd, Dana Carvey. But I'm going to give you two names that we haven't brought up, and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, no shit. Richard Pryor, who is so fucking brilliant, and Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, God damn it.
Two fucking genius level comedians that, you see their influence in the comedians today. You still see their shit. So, and that's a great thing about YouTube is you can fucking go back and watch all these things from Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Sam Kinison, Robin Williams. We have it all at our disposal now, so we're pretty lucky in that regard. So this is usually we do this part at the front of the show, but because we just want to go straight from the sets into talking about comedy, we're going to put this little nugget at the end of the show. Nicole, this is where we go around the horn talking about stuff we've been watching on TV, movies we've watched, any shows that we watch on streaming. So I'm gonna start with you. What have you been watching?
Okay. I'm unemployed, so I've been watching a lot of Law and Order SVU reruns.
Of which there are a lot.
But The Handmaid's Tale is back on. So like I don't watch too much TV. Right now, I don't know. I've been reading a lot more, trying to. But I don't know why I love the SVU so damn much though. It's like fuck the police, but like accept the dedicated detectives at the Special Victims Unit. Like they're fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Law and Order. Ice Q or Ice T? Yeah, it's Ice T. Is that the Ice T one?
Ice T.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about Law and Order is it's always on. And if there's nothing else to watch, you can't just watch any section, especially SVU. But it's always on somewhere on one of the channels.
Oh yeah.
And there's so many of them, they're hardly ever rerun. Like one that you've seen before. Usually it's like, oh, I haven't seen this one before.
Yeah, they got like 700 episodes or something.
What about you, Santore? What are you watching?
Just a bunch of reruns on whatever comes on the TV, like The Office, South Park. Nothing, no movies or nothing. Oh, did I tell you? Wait, I did get my DVDs. Number one Dave bought me The Wildlife, so I did watch that.
How was it?
Yeah.
Was it as good as you remembered?
Yeah, it's a great movie. I was very happy and very pleased. So I do have
good. I'm glad you got it.
And I recommend it. If you're looking for a movie to watch, it's really fun and has Eddie Van Halen orchestrating the music.
Yeah, but you had to jump through a lot of hoops in order to get it. So it's not like, hey, you should check this movie out. And it's like, no, you have to take these steps in order to get this movie that nobody has heard of.
It's really that. Yeah, it's crazy. If you want to go through the hoops, if you have a DVD player, order it. They have it on Amazon.
What about you, James? What are you watching, bro?
Man, I don't know, man. I watch a lot of YouTube. I saw the Snyder Cut. It was a longer version of an already movie. So, I saw Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that was good. It was not good in the like King Kong, Godzilla. Good. Yeah, it was fun. It was.
I think the Mortal Kombat was way more Last Dragon than they expected it to be. Bruce Leroy catches bullets with his teeth. I'm like, it's going to come down to a glow at the end of this dumb shit. And it was, Kano was brilliant. Like I literally right before when you saw Sonya and Jax, and I'm like, man, I hope that they bring Kano in, but there's no way he's going to, and I hope he's just as ornery as in the original movie and just as good. And not only was he, but he was better than the original movie. And I would say that I think his character alone was my favorite part of that movie. He owned every single scene he was in. He was hilarious. The fights, Mortal Kombat's a hard story to tell. We've proven it now through 3 movies. It doesn't create a good flow, because at some point in the story, you have to break off into 17 individual fights in weird places for no reason. And as a writer, it's hard to get there.
That's fair.
And they just go, magic. Now you're there.
My son just got upstairs. He's been so good this entire time. He's awesome.
Tell him we said hi. Tell him hello from the folks at the Mile High Podcast. So
He's
I always
waving
loved
in the background.
Tell him we heard about the story of his alone time in the bathroom.
Yeah. He doesn't know about that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So this is where I take over the show because I always watch a lot of shit. And I just got the Moderna 2 shot yesterday, and I've been in bed all day long because I've been fucking exhausted with a headache all day long. So I've been watching a lot of shit. What I've been watching is Servant, is this really spooky show on Apple Plus, created by M. Night Shyamalan. It's impossible for me to describe this show to you, but it's a really good show. Also on Apple Plus, For All Mankind. It's a show of kind of theorizing what if Russia were to have made it to the moon before America, and how the world would be different if that would happen.
I saw that trailer. I know of that trailer.
Yeah, it's a really good show. But surprisingly, the 2 best shows that I've been watching over the course of the last week is 2 animal documentaries on Netflix. One is called Life in Color, where it's like blue. It's like the planet Earth shows, only it's about like colorful things, like the colors of the Earth. But Night on Earth on Netflix is really cool. They take like the most advanced like night captured technology, and then they go into like the savannas of Africa. They go underwater and just see how different the world is when it's dark outside. It's brilliant. It's really cool. So those are my 2 recommendations. And James, I'm going to let you take over for the rest.
I've been watching them too on Amazon Prime. It's all right.
Oh, also Invincible. If you guys haven't seen Invincible on Amazon, fucking best superhero TV show that came out this year, and by far.
What about that other one that was on Amazon? What is it called?
The Boys.
The Boys. Yes. That's really good.
It was really good.
I've only got through first season.
I like the second season pretty good. But if you like The Boys, then you'll really like Invincible. I mean, it's a father and son bonding story, but it's a super violent, bloody, gory, animated cartoon show created by Robert Kirkman, who created The Walking Dead. Best fucking show on Amazon, or superhero show for sure. All right, James, take it away, my friend. Why don't you go ahead and take us home?
All right. So real quick, one thing I need to announce is that I am going to be taking a hiatus from co-hosting this with Dave, which means you can see Dave and probably a string of different co-hosts going through. Those of you know what's going on. My family has some there's just my dad's not doing well, and so I've been splitting time, and so I just can't right at the moment give as much attention to the show as I'd like to. I will still be behind the scenes talking to Dave and Santore and everybody at the Truckee Pacific crew, but I had to step back for a minute. That is my big announcement. I'm assuming that's what you meant by taking it over and closing out the show, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be co-hosting with either Santore or Dr. Detroit. So.
Oh, there you go.
That'll be my rotating co-host.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, and then, so what does that mean? What does the next week look like for you, Dave?
So next week, because we couldn't get Jeff on, we're going to do kind of like a follow-up to this week, because I know Jeff has some comedians that he want to talk about. Dr. Detroit's real passionate about comedy. So we're going to do quick hits next Friday. We're going to catch up with those guys, and hopefully we can see Jeff's set that unfortunately we couldn't see tonight. But that's what we're doing next week. We got a week off coming up. I'm so excited for that week off. You have no idea. And that's the same weekend that I think I can't remember. There's like some movie coming out that week that I'm real excited to go see, which is not very helpful. But I'll remember. I'm just very high right now.
All right. Nicole, you have anything, something to promote, any kind of shout out to make that we should look?
If you are around Denver, send me a DM. Maybe we can meet up and smoke. I'll be there from the 14th to the 16th. And if you like anything I said, add me on social media, Nicole Gory. I post some sick ass memes.
Nice.
And great pictures of her kittens. If you haven't seen her kittens, they're amazing.
Memes and kittens. Hey, I totally appreciate that. I got a shit ton of kittens. Santore, what do you have to promote for us?
Before I forget,
Sorry, there was a kitten.
Sorry.
just before I promote anything, I just want to say my heart, my prayers go out to you and your family. So,
Thank you.
and the only thing I got to promote really is Wednesday nights. Santore, what now? 8:30.
Yes, time zone.
Yeah, time zone. 9 o'clock my time, which is Central Time, and then like 8:30 Eastern Mountain Time, and then 10:30 Eastern Time. See
what day?
So his show is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, at 9 o'clock Central Daylight Time, and 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Don't worry, man. I got your back.
I'm telling you, one of these days, I am going to have the time that I'm going to sit down and I'm going to edit you explaining time zones
It's fun, isn't it?
every one of these episodes and just put it in like one streaming loop. That will be
that would be hilarious.
That'll make us TikTok famous.
You know, that would be it. That would be the one.
Dave, you have something else to promote that is not directly related to Truckee Missouri or Mile High
Thank you
Podcast.
so much for asking. I appreciate it. Yeah, so of course, promoting my book Caldera, available now on Amazon in paperback as well as on your Kindle, on your Nook. The Audible book just came out. Race Through Space Event Horizon 2 just came out on Audible, and that's really fucking cool. So go to Amazon and please buy my stuff. Thank you.
Excellent. That was a good promotion. Well, you know what? Thank you guys so much, Dave. Thanks for bailing out in the very beginning when I was not here because I was stuck in traffic. Santore, always good to see you. Nicole, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We have a lot of different shows. We would be more than happy to have you back at any time on any of our shows. I hope everybody goes and checks out those sick-ass memes and comment blazes you up when you were in Denver. If you guys want to get a hold,
it's been fun.
There you go.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate you coming on, dude.
Thank you.
If you guys want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us at www.truckypacific.com. That has links to things somewhere else, but it's our page. You can contact us at the Mile High Podcast at gmail.com. If you would like to give us money, because sometimes people like to do that. We work hard on this show. We do it all for free because that's just how it is. Some money would help. It would expand out what we're doing. You can Venmo us at Truckee Pacific 303. We're on a bunch of different things. So like, subscribe, follow, whatever else.
Hit that subscribe, hit the bell, do the subscribe.
All the things. Do all the things you know you're supposed to do. And of course, a shout out to our season sponsors, Paul and Betsy Hawkins, who every time you have a new guest, they welcome into their family. That family is just growing larger and larger by the minute. But with that said,
inheritance is going shorter and shorter with every person we bring into the family.
Right. I hope that inheritance works in seniority because I've known you since I was like 6. So it's been a pleasure, guys. I will be back. This is not the last time you'll see my face. But for me, I'm signing out. And for everybody at the Mile High Podcast, have a good Friday. Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.